We're on the Raw after Bash in the Berlin, and we kick off the show in a big way. But why is Triple H starting the show? Well, with the likes of Jordan Grace and Joe Hendry appearing on WWE TV, everyone has been speculating that there will be a forbidden premium live event taking place. And with Paul Levesque standing in the center of the ring, he says, "Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Monday Night Raw." And everyone has been wondering what our next premium live event is going to be in. And I am proud to announce to you all that in 6 weeks' time, WWE will present Payback. But don't worry, that's not all, as in 3 weeks' time, WWE will officially open the Forbidden Door with a 2-night premium live event. And the name of this event? Well, it's definitely not a prohibited portal, as returning after over 23 years, coming to you from Toronto, Canada, it'll be Invasion. And the crowd go absolutely ballistic for this, but so is Drew McIntyre as he is stomping around backstage. But why? Well, he grabs the camera and says, "This is to anyone, and I mean anyone, coming in from the outside. You've got a big target on your back, and I'll claymore every single one of you. This is your only warning. Stay away." And his anger only amplifies throughout the night as fellow wrestlers are ecstatic with the Forbidden Door being opened, which McIntyre can't understand. He's stomping around backstage again until a big boy confronts him. Hammerstone confronts the Scottish Warrior, which makes McIntyre's anger levels reach its peak, and with Hammerstone taunting Drew, a wild brawl between the pair commences, with security having to attempt to separate the pair. So who else will show up? Well, Sami Zayn is putting on a hell of a match with JD McDonough, and it's going off without a hitch, until a show-off decides to assault Sami Zayn. Why is Nick Nemeth targeting Zayn? Well, we don't find out as Nemeth dismantles Zayn and leaves the carcasses behind. But Dijak wants to bring a carcass to WWE as he does a backstage promo straight after Nemeth leaving the building and says, "You know, I have one true mortal enemy," and he doesn't even wrestle, but that's going to change. Santi Zap, the ratioed bitch, I want you at Invasion. I want to whoop you all across the ring. And I know you're watching this on your shitty little live stream, and I can't wait to watch your reaction. For your own sake, you better accept. Dijak has issued an interesting challenge to say the least, but will Santi accept? Well, on stream, Santi doesn't give a direct answer, as he's taken aback by the opportunity and says he'll give an answer next week. And later on in the show, we hear from the Women's World Champion after Rhea Ripley defended her championship against Kairi Sane only 24 hours prior. She's asking who will step up next for her belt, and a demonic creature answers the call, as with Rhea watching the ramp like a hawk, Rosemary comes out and stares at the championship and the champion, with Rhea being very inviting for the fight. But that's not all for this edition of Monday Night Raw, as when the show is about to close with the World Heavyweight Champion Gunther, someone decides to object to his reign. Josh Alexander's here, and he's got his eyes set on winning his first championship in WWE, and he wouldn't have it any other way than to be the toughest SOB in WWE holding the gold. And with that, the show goes off the air. But what surprises, if any, will there be on NXT? Well, during the first hour, the show goes off flawlessly with only WWE talent on display. And New Catch Republic are against the Authors of Pain, and it's looking bleak for the Brits, but one more comes to the raid, as Trend 7 reunites British Strong Style for one night only, which gives them an opening, as with 7 brawling with Cross, Tyler Bate gets the roll-up victory, and with them helping Trent fend off Cross, British Strong Style stand tall. And backstage, Obafemi is getting interviewed, and he says, "You know, I defeated everyone in my path so far, and I've asked Ava, and I'll ask the WWE Universe, who is next to step up to me? And I have one request before you shout names like Wesley or Joe Coffey, that my challenge is a fresh piece of meat for NXT TakeOver. I don't want to have to face the same people I've already beaten, but my next challenge could be anyone." And he sure does get a big meaty man as Big Damo, aka Killian Dane, confronts Obafemi and says, "You wanted a fresh piece of meat, huh? Well, you've got one right here, and I want a piece of you and that championship. I look forward to it, Damo." A huge meaty challenge has just been put on the table, and with Ava making the match official, and for the NXT North American Championship, everyone and their grandmother are buzzing at the colossal matchup. And before we get to the main event, we hear from Ethan Page, who is disgusted at the fact that WWE is allowing the Forbidden Door open just like his former employer did. But he issues a challenge. But to who? Well, it'd be to none other than Matt Cardona. But will he accept? Well, we don't find out for the rest of the show. But it's not only WWE who has opened the Forbidden Door, as on TNA, Mustafa Ali holds an open challenge for the X Division Championship, which is answered by none other than one half of the NXT Tag Team Champions, Axiom. And he's to tear up a storm, although in the end, after an unbelievable contest, Ali retains. But later on in the show, Hammerstone is in the ring and starts roasting McIntyre and says, "So a salty man who can't hold a championship for longer than 5 minutes thinks he's better than me, better than anyone that isn't in WWE. Because apparently even though the person who employed him wants the Forbidden Door to be opened, he whinges and complains all the time, and I'm honestly sick of it. And I'm surprised his wife hasn't left him yet, as he always either complains or just talks and talks and talks about CM Punk." Don't you ever bring up my wife again if you want to still walk. This place is disgusting. McIntyre lays down the law, but Hammerstone refuses to abide by it as he gets up and continues the fight with Drew. They even pass Mustafa Ali and Cedric Alexander during their tense confrontation backstage. The carnage doesn't end until the show goes off the air. And on SmackDown, Nick Aldis is trying to keep everything under control as he tells Logan Paul, "Logan, get out there. Entertain the people. The show has to go on, no matter what." And Logan is giving the crowd a good reason to boo, but he brings up the Forbidden Door and says, "Look, I know WWE's got the best of the best and all, but I want a different type of challenge, and with the Forbidden Door blasted off its hinges, I want a unique opponent for Invasion. A professional wrestler, sure, but a YouTuber at heart." Logan wants a YouTuber turned professional wrestler. Who will answer the call? Well, coming out the crowd, Simon Miller enters the ring and he answers the challenge. Logan is terrified and he backs away out the ring and out the building. He wants none of Simon Miller tonight, and with Miller playing to the crowd and getting them riled up, he leaves. But backstage, Naomi has found out cold. The carnage is seeping into the show. But who was the culprit? Well, leaving the corpse is none other than Jordynne Grace. She hasn't forgotten that Trinity left her home high and dry. And with Aldis getting security to kick Jordan out the building, the show goes back to normality with RKO taking on Legado del Fantasma in a fantastic tag team match. But it breaks down, and as RKO are looking to pick up the win, the grizzled young veterans attack the two veterans in Randy Orton and Kevin Owens. They make a statement, they put Owens through the announcer's table, and leave. Aldis can't believe the amount of carnage, but with that, the first week of WWE's Forbidden Door being blasted open has come to a close. We're on the second week of the invasion, and we're on Raw, and we find out that Hammerstone has taken the flight to Raw to brawl with Drew McIntyre, and it's as fierce as it was on TNA, with neither man having the advantage until security separate the larger-than-life athletes. But that's not all, as when the Judgment Day are about to cut a promo, Rosemary confronts them after confronting Rhea Ripley last week, but she's outnumbered, until not only does Crazy Steve stand by her side, but the Hardy Boys are back in WWE! No one can believe it, but the war is on! Carnage is at every turn! Adam Pearce can't handle all the mess, but he does announce that Santi is in the building, and he cuts a promo backstage and says, "Look, Dijak, I may not know as much as you about wrestling, but I accept your challenge, and I don't care if I'm not nearly as good as you. I'll sign the contract for Invasion right now." The contract you've already signed. I guess you just didn't read the fine print. Oh, and you can ratio that, Dijak. Santi sends a message to the Ratio King. Although Dijak is happy, he gets to whoop him at Invasion. In addition, we see a comedic backstage segment between R-Truth and Grado as R-Truth asks, "Hey, I didn't realize that they brought back Ricardo Rodriguez. That's awesome, man. How have you been?" You're funny. But I'm not Ricardo or whoever the hell you think I am. I'm Grado, the dancing guy. Oh yeah, I remember you, Santino. Oh, I remember the Grado jokes back in the day, man. nice catching up with you. And even though Grado is incredibly confused, everyone absolutely adores this segment with the silly natures of both characters. But up next, Nick Nemeth explains his actions and his reasonings for assaulting Sami Zayn the week prior, and it's quite simple as he says, look, Sammy, it wasn't meant to be a bad thing, me attacking you last week. It was just to screw your head back on. But clearly I need to do more. So let me tell you why, Sammy. Why I attacked you. And really, you should know. Because you're turning into what I was. A Neely man. A man everyone knows is good, but WWE won't push them into stardom. I left this place to prove I'm worth more than that. And you need to show everyone why Sami Zayn deserves to be in the main event. So I guess this is my declaration to you, Zayn. Me, you, Invasion for my IWGP Global Championship. Let me help you, Zayn. Let me prove to everybody that not only did Dolph Ziggler deserve the main event, but that Sami Zayn does as well. I'll let you figure out which is more important to me, though. But Zayn has heard enough. He comes out and says, look, man, I kind of appreciate what you're saying and your motives and all, but attacking me during my match, blindsiding me when I couldn't defend myself, that was low, Dolph. So yeah, I accept your challenge, but only because not only do I want some revenge, but I want to prove to you that I am better than you in every single way. Things are heating up between Nemeth and Zayn. The animosity is growing between the pair. However, after this, the show continues like normal until after Chad Gable's big time title defense against Bronson Reed, where he grabs a microphone and says, I've got a question. Why do people from TNA, from Progress, wherever the hell else, think they deserve a spot on my show? You know, I agree with McIntyre. Why does the shows that can't sell 1,000 tickets get to headline my show? Well, you know what? Next week, I want to see what the talent of them promotions have, and I'll even put my Intercontinental Championship on the line. So I'll see you next week, dirtbags. Gable sets the challenge for next week, but who will accept? Well, before we get to next week, we see Josh Alexander compete in his debut match in WWE as he takes on Ricochet in the main event. And it's a classic affair between the two, as Ricochet makes Alexander look like $1 billion with how powerful he is, and that strength propels Josh to victory, which brings Gunter out, and a 10 stare down once more closes the show. And on NXT, we kick off the show with a banger as Ivar takes on Big Damo in a big meaty match, although after 15 minutes of juicy action, Obafemi gets involved and dismantles both men. Oba doesn't care about the match. He just wants to dismantle Big Damo. He even puts him through the announcer's table. And with this, he leaves the meat behind. And later on in the show, we see Ethan Page once again calling out Matt Cardona, and it's looking like he's going to get no response until coming out on the ramp is the man himself. He then slides in the ring, and we get a stare down for the ages. And Ava on the spot makes it official. And with that, the rest of the night is inconsequential for the Forbidden Show. But on TNA, we see McIntyre completely blindside Hammerstone and obliterate him in the opening of the show, whilst verbally obliterating him as well with remarks such as, oh, come on, don't tell me their muscles are just for show. They look fake as anything. Maybe you need to get juiced up further, big dog. It's a disgrace on McIntyre's behalf. And speaking of disgraces, later on in the show, we hear from Jordan Grace as she says, Naomi, we built you back up in TNA, right? And then you left high and dry and then wonder why I attacked you? All you cared about was the paycheck. We deserve better than you. We deserve better than you having a stranglehold on the Knockouts division. So at Invasion, we'll both get a good paycheck, which I'm sure you'll be happy with. But you won't be happy when I annihilate you just like I did on your way out. Jordan wants blood, but will Naomi accept? Well, before the main event of Cedric Alexander vs Mustafa Ali, we see another comedic segment featuring R-Truth, and Truth says, Hey Grado, I saw you on Raw, and I'd just like to say that I looked you up, and you're brilliant, dude. Keep up the work, and maybe we'll become tag champs one day. Okay. But it's time for the main event X Division match, and it's a very back and forth contest between the two agile competitors. Ali is proving more and more what WWE missed out on, and Cedric is proving why he deserves a higher place on the card on SmackDown. However, in the end, after a fantastic match, Mustafa Ali retains once again. And with that, the show comes to a close. And on SmackDown, Nick Aldis has effectively given up on trying to control the carnage and just accepts it for the time being. But later in the show, we see a mouth-watering backstage interaction between the World Tag Team Champions DIY and the Motor City Machine Guns as Gargano says, We know who you are, and we know how good you are. So if you can beat a tag team tonight, we'll give you a shot at our tag team championships. Is that cool? Yeah. cool. And they need to defeat the former champions Grayson Waller and Austin Theory, which is up next. And it steals the show as the Motor City Machine Guns are showcasing why they deserve a chance at DIY. But Theory and Waller still trying to cheat their way to victory. Does it work? Do the Motor City Machine Guns fail at their first hurdle on WWE television? Well, after a highly competitive match, MCMG defeat the Dastardly pair, and with DIY confronting them, the match is officially announced for Invasion. And straight after this, Naomi walks out and screams, "Jordan, I wasn't there just to go back home. I wanted to make a new home, but you didn't let me, did you? You made a big mistake coming to WWE. You'll pay for everything you've done to me." It's fierce words from Naomi, but she storms out of the camera's view. And before the main event, we hear from RKO as they say, "You know, Zach, and whoever the hell your grizzled partner is, you two are a good team, but you aren't Hall of Fame worthy like me and Kevin are, and we'll prove that you aren't in our lane at Invasion. So good luck, veterans. You'll need it." RKO have laid out the law, but how will the grizzled young veterans respond? Well, we don't find out for the time being, as the rest of the show goes off without a hitch. And with this, the second week of endless carnage comes to an end. We're deep into the war now, as we're on the go-home week before the Invasion Premium Live event. And the week only amplifies the carnage of week 2 as we kick off the show with once again the continuous brawling between Hammerstone and Drew McIntyre, as the match is officially sanctioned by Adam Pearce as a no-holds-barred match for Invasion. And eventually Hammerstone gets the final say as he stands over Drew's lifeless body. But that's not the only fight taking place, as backstage Sami Zayn and Nick Nemeth are tearing each other apart, both physically and verbally, as Zayn screams, "You think I'm f***ing Neely, man? Look at you. Your best accomplishment is getting concussed and losing your world title in a month. At least I can keep my championship for longer than a month, unlike you. And now you've brought my family into this? I'll not only make sure I take everything from you, but I'll prove to everyone the fraud that is Dolph Ziggler." Zayn is possessed. He's in possibly his most angriest state we've ever seen him in. The rivalry between the two men is reaching its boiling point. But we don't have time to process it, as Judgment Day are scheduled for a high-profile match with the Hardy Boys. But Judgment Day don't care, as they and the Hardys engage in another wild brawl, with Rhea Ripley and Rosemary getting involved as well. But Judgment Day are too dominant, too strong in a chaotic environment, and they stand tall over Rhea, saying, "Once we're done with you this Saturday, you're all going to regret getting involved in Judgment Day business, because mommy is always on top." Isn't that right, Dom Dom? Yeah, for sure, mommy. And after a war of actions, there's a war of words, although it's all one-sided, as Dijak warns Santi and says, "Boy, when you signed that contract, you signed your death warrant. I don't care what fine print was in that contract, I'll smash you into the ground at Invasion. Don't worry though, Santi. I'll pay for your funeral after I ratio you in the ring." Strong words by Dijak, but can Chad Gable back up his words with his open challenge? Well, we need to find out who's going to actually answer the call. And it's someone Chad Gable and the Intercontinental Championship has a lot of history with, as Shelton Benjamin answers the challenge. Gable can't believe it, but he knows he's going to have to put in the shift of his life if he wants to continue calling himself Intercontinental Champion. And the match is an absolute classic. Benjamin showcases to everyone what WWE missed out on, and Gable proves once more why he deserves to be Intercontinental Champion. And the match is reaching its climax. Both men have hit some of their biggest moves. They have nothing left. They're trading blows, and eventually Benjamin gets a sudden burst of adrenaline. But Gable's technical wizardry catches him off guard as Gable rolls him up for the win. It's heartbreak for Benjamin, but the crowd's boos soon turn into cheers when
say his name and he appears. I believe in Joe Hendry.
Joe Hendry is here, and he sets his sight on the gold. But Gable tries a cheap shot. However, Hendry knew it was coming. He dodges it and throws him out the ring. Gable goes up the ramp, but gets stopped by Adam Pearce as he says, "Gable, you've been a hell of a workhorse champion. So when I say this, I don't think I need your answer. Because at Invasion, you will take on a wrestler I believe in." Gable once again can't believe it. He looks back at Hendry, and with a haunting glare, he leaves. And with this, the Raw before the Invasion Premium Live event comes to an end. But on NXT, it's full-blown warfare between Over Femi and Big Damo, which culminates in Damo putting Femi through the table this time. And in addition, we see Ethan Page and Matt Cardona similarly brawling, although it doesn't last nearly as long with Cardona standing tall. And with this being the show before NXT Takeover, the show concludes regarding the involvement of the Invaders. And on TNA, there are no invaders from WWE that enters the picture, although many people like Jordan Grace, the Grizzled Young Veterans, and the Motor City Machine Guns take several shots at WWE throughout the show. So it's time for the final show before the premium live events, and on SmackDown we kick off the show with RKO, who say, "Okay, so you greasy young pieces of crap, we know you're here. Come out or we'll bring you out by force." And they answer the call, and the brawl is on! No more words, just fists. Although in the end, the Grizzled Young Veterans are more versatile and take the dynamic duo down with weapon shots and big moves, with them saying, "We are better than you in every single way, you pathetic fossils. And at Invasion, we will prove it when we dismantle the great RKO tag team." Bloody stupid name as well. The statement has been made by JYZ, but can they back up their words and defeat RKO? Well, before we find out, Simon Miller is being interviewed backstage and he's asked, So Simon, what have you done to prepare for the Maverick Logan Paul? To answer your question, I prepared for this match just like I have any other match. You see, Logan isn't all that special of an opponent to me. The only thing that he has in comparison is a ton of baggage from Scam. Logan doesn't want to hear any of it. He beats down Simon and softens him up for their match. It's unbelievable from Logan Paul. But as soon as one beatdown ends, another begins as Jordan Grace and Naomi engage in a humongous brawl. But Grace's raw power is too much for Naomi to deal with in such an environment. And whilst this is going on, DIY and the Motor City Machine Guns are engaged in an equally intense brawl. It's carnage wherever you turn. And with this, there's no more time as it's time for NXT Takeover Forbidden Door. And we kick off the show with the NXT North American Championship match between Femi and Big Damo, and it's a meaty affair. Damo hits huge power moves, but so does Femi. They're throwing each other around as if they're 200 pounds. Although after a 20-minute classic, Femi nails a huge powerbomb onto Big Damo, which nearly shatters the ring, and he retains the championship. Femi defends his territory, but can Ethan Page do the same? Well, even though Matt Cardona isn't part of WWE, the NXT crowd is firmly on his side, but Page doesn't care as he beats down Cardona. He's pounding Matt with vicious strikes, but Matt's a fighter. He counters Page's strikes and starts fighting back. He hits all of his big moves. He hits a broski boot, and with a Rough Rider, Matt Cardona picks up the win. And with that, the Forbidden Door closes for the rest of the show. But the invasion has only just begun. We open the first night of the Invasion Premium Live event with the SmackDown Tag Team Championship match between DIY and the Motor City Machine Guns. And it's an unbelievable contest with DIY using frequent tag team offense to get the upper hand as they isolate Alex Shelley. But eventually Shelley gets an opening, Gargano is down, and Chris Sabin gets the tag. He's on fire with his fast-paced offense, but he can't keep it up as Tommaso Ciampa nails a brutal shot, cutting him off in his tracks. But Sabin has more fight left, and the contest continues. The Motor City Machine Guns hit huge dives onto DIY, which catches them off guard. But they can't keep Ciampa or Gargano down for the free, and due to their endurance, Ciampa puts the Motor City Machine Guns fairy tale to an end. DIY retain their championships, and it's an exhilarating moment for the WWE Universe, and an excellent way to kick off the show. And up next, it's not about championships, but it's about who was the better tag team as the Hardy Boys take on the Judgment Day in a no disqualification tag team match. And with there being no rules, it's full-blown chaos wherever you turn. Matt Hardy and Damian Priest brawl on the ramp, whilst Jeff Hardy and Finn Balor are doing battle within the ring. JD McDonough is occupied with Crazy Steve backstage, so he can't get involved and assist Judgment Day. But what about Dominic? Well, a monster has him occupied as Abyss scares him off, and with this it's an even fight. Although Balor overpowers Hardy with weapons, he's getting on top and eventually nails a coup de grace to pick up the win for the group. But there is still visible tension between Balor and Priest. But after this, Mickie James shows up and wants a challenge, as she says, "I know I don't have a lot of time left in this business. I'm getting old. Time isn't on my side. But that doesn't mean I should be left off this goddamn card. The amount I've done for Impact Wrestling, the amount I've done for WWE. So just like John Cena says, if you want some, come get some." James shocks everyone with an unadvertised open challenge, but who will answer the call? Is this even possible? CM Punk comes out, stands firmly on the ramp, and says, "Ladies and gentlemen, my name is CM Punk, and I am here not to challenge you, Mickey, but to introduce your opponent. She's a legend, just like you are, but retired at the height of her career. And without spoiling it anymore, here she is." This night will be remembered for decades to come as the night AJ Lee returned home. No one can believe it. And with a cheeky grin on his face, CM Punk lets the two-woman battle and leaves. And the bell rings, and it's a tense stare down. Both women arguably catapulting women's wrestling into what it is today. And James tries to hit Lee with a shot, but she counters it to the Black Widow. Will James tap already? Can she fight out of it? No! Mickey James taps out to AJ Lee, but it wasn't about the match. It was about the return as AJ Lee grabs the microphone and says a brief but important statement. Don't you worry, I'm back, and I'm back full time. The crowd love this. They shower her with love as she walks to the back. And up next is a battle that is sure to steal the show as Jordynne Grace takes on Naomi for the TNA Knockouts Championship with a rematch from back when Naomi was known as Trinity. And it's a very physical affair. The hatred between these two women is on full display. Naomi uses kicks to try and wear down Grace, but Grace uses a huge power boost to fight off Naomi's velocity. And Jordynne's power is starting to overwhelm Naomi. Is it going to be a repeat of their last match? Well, Naomi tries to come back into the match, and she even gets a flurry of offense, but it isn't enough as Jordynne plants Naomi into the canvas to pick up the win. It's heartbreak for Naomi, who could have redeemed her loss almost a year ago. But the night isn't done with yet as Dijak is set to take on Santi, and he's eagerly waiting for him to come out, which he does. But he doesn't go any further as he says, Dijak, Mr. Ratio Man, you sure are an idiot, aren't you? You said you weren't worried about the fine print as long as you got your hands on me, right? Well, there was a stipulation in that fine print that meant I could sub in anyone I wanted if I got injured. And it just so happened that I suffered an injury to my elbow. So you, my friend, get to fight someone else. Someone else I have connections with. Chris Danger is in the building, and it's gonna be him versus Dijak, and it's an absolute banger between the pair. Santi stays at ringside as he wants a front row seat for the action, but Dijak is dissecting Chris in almost every way. He's still new to professional wrestling, but Danger is a fighter. He won't quit, he gets in his own offense, and they're on an even playing field. Who will stand tall? Well, after 15 minutes of tremendous action, Dijak wraps his hands around Danger's throat and plants him with a chokeslam. Dijak picks up the win, and Santi runs away as Dijak celebrates. And with this, it's time for the main event of night 1 of the invasion. It's Gunter, the Ring General, versus Josh Alexander, the face of TNA for the World Heavyweight Championship. And both men are going at it. Alexander is taking stiff chops, whereas Alexander is trying to outmaneuver and outthink the Ring General. And it's not completely failing. Both men manage to outdo one another and hit big time moves, but neither man will yield. They hit their biggest moves onto one another, but that won't keep them down for the free. They're trading blows, and Gunter's starting to get on top. The chops and submissions are wearing Alexander down, but he won't give up. It doesn't matter that he has nothing left, he'll always get back up. So Gunter gets desperate, and it's the most devastating powerbomb of professional wrestling. And with that, the Ring General proves his title of not only King of the Ring, but proves why he is the World Heavyweight Champion. Night 1 ends with heartbreak. But will Night 2 begin with a heartwarming moment as Sami Zayn and Nick Nemeth are fighting for their lives? Nemeth is proving that he's a more ferocious animal in the ring, so Zayn tries to match his style. Can he become IWGP Global Champion? He hits everything at Nemeth. Is he thinking of hitting the haluva kick? Yes, he is, but as he's charging to hit the move, Nemeth clocks Zayn with a super kick. It's lights out for Zayn as Nemeth retains and proves every single word he said may have been true. But up next, it's pure tag team wrestling as the Grizzled Young Veterans take on RKO, and it's a classic technical match. JYV dominate the early portions of the match with their tag team offense, but Randy and Kevin are fighters. Even though they don't have phenomenal chemistry, their fight drives them forward. They brawl all around ringside. They even hit big moves on the announcer's table, but eventually RKO are getting on top. Their sheer abilities as single competitors are too much for the Grizzled Young Veterans, as with RKO pick up the victory. But do you believe in Joe Hendry? As Joe Hendry takes on Chad Gable for the Intercontinental Championship, and the crowd are fully alive for this contest. Everyone wants to see Joe Hendry become champion, but all sides are pointing towards Gable retaining. He's wrestling rings around Hendry, but Joe has one thing Gable used to have: fan support. And that drives him throughout the contest. No matter how bleak it seems, Joe Hendry won't quit. But Gable's starting to become too much for Joe to handle. His body is shutting down. He's got nothing left. But he outsmarts Gable. He rolls him up. And arguably the biggest surprise of the year has occurred, as Joe Hendry has become Intercontinental Champion. No one can believe it, including the man himself, who is looking to ruin the celebrations. But then LA Knight comes out, which pops the crowd, and he takes away the Shush Master. And up next is the YouTuber matchup between Logan Paul and Simon Miller, and it's a great showcase of both men, as Logan once again proves how good he is, whilst Simon shows that he is deserving of the big stage. Logan's agility manages to steer away Simon's powerhouse offense, enough to have him control sections of the match, but Simon's too strong. He battles through it and starts hitting big power moves, which slows Logan down. However, Logan isn't just a high flyer, as his wits are leaps above Simon, as he uses every cheap tactic in the book, which starts to overwhelm Simon, and with one lucky punch and a frog splash, Logan Paul picks up the win. But it's time for the most intense affair of the night, as Drew McIntyre and Hammerstone battle in a no-holds-barred match, and it's a hellacious contest. Weapons are shattered onto one another, tables are broken in half, and each man draws blood. McIntyre is pounding Hammerstone into the ground. He's being absolutely demolished, and McIntyre relents the punishment and goes into the corner. He's looking for a claymore, but then Hammerstone hits a huge counter onto McIntyre. McIntyre's caught off guard. Hammerstone might be able to win, but then McIntyre out of thin air nails a massive claymore to pick up the win. McIntyre slays the beast. But can Rhea Ripley slay the monster? As it's time for the main event of the evening, the last match of the invasion, Mommy versus Rosemary for the Women's World Championship. Can Rosemary become champion? Well, before the match can even start, here comes Judgment Day. They're banged up, but they're still going to assist their leader. Crazy Steve tries to take them out, but Priest can still make his way towards the ring, until Abyss takes out Priest. This is going to be a fair one-on-one match, and what a match it is. The early part of the contest is just a vicious fight. They don't care about anyone's safety. They tear each other apart. And once they get back inside of the ring, the wrestling part of the match begins. They hit all their signature offers on one another. Rosemary even hits her biggest moves in a quick and brutal combination, but Rhea by the skin of her teeth survives. Rosemary can't believe it, but she knows she needs more. She goes to the top rope. What is she looking for? Well, Rhea cuts her off and hurls her across the ring. Rosemary's in trouble. Rhea lines her up, but Rosemary just won't quit. She starts laying shots at the Rhea. She's throwing it all at Mommy, but Rhea didn't get this far by getting beaten. She counters Rosemary and starts laying shots into her as well, and eventually takes her down. She then puts her into a corner, and then nails the biggest riptide she's ever hit in her career. And with this, Rhea Ripley retains. The invasion has come to an end, but Rhea's championship reign has only just begun. And if you like this story, I think this might interest you.